without further ado.
Oh, I have to re-click.
Yep, sorry. We are just fixing one thing. And we are live. Romley, why don't you give us the honors and do the introductions?
All right. Well, at between 9 and 10, we have IronSteel. Looks like he's got fairly traditional map, and that's one of the nice things about this. Let's check for the hills, though, because that usually makes a massive difference in this game. And there are hills between him. Oh, this is going to be interesting. So the hills, he's got one hill that's close, one hill that's closer to Matthew, and then Matthew has a hill close to him. These hills are gonna play a role in this game.
Oh, absolutely. And these are the I mean, there's the obvious defining features of Oasis, but I think beyond those, like beyond the fact that the wood is in a ring around some unusable water, just like this big obstacle, right? I think the hills in Oasis are really a huge feature that we often don't talk about. These sand dunes, well, I say we often don't talk about. I feel as if they go unnoticed by many. I mean, at this point, I feel like every game that we've cast has had a massive. These have had a massive role, right? These hills keep coming into importance. Now, I will say these players spawned much closer together than we're used to, right? And this proximity could lead to a quicker game, as we have seen a couple times. However, I mean, that's if the players find each other. I mean, the assumption is almost always you spawn across the map from your opponent. But here, it's a little different. I don't think that's always going to be the case.
I think both of these players love to attack fast. Matthew loves to do a quick go up. He loves to go in and tool attack and give it. And Steel is just an always in your face player. So the question here is who's going to find who or whom, or they could both find each other. And are we going to have a messy game where you got axes in each other's, towns and that sort of thing? But I'm expecting these two both to come out swinging.
Yeah, seriously. And I mean, Matt's opening with the pit start on the berries. He has decent stragglers, so that's going to be okay for him. This pit has a dual purpose, though. It transitions really nicely into a slinger war. This could be enough to enforce a decision, right? Like, this could be enough to kind of push him towards that slinger route that we've seen so many times picked up by these players. I feel like having your stone mine this close to your first food source, I mean, the storage pit's going to become useless, right? So I can think of the only reason I can think you would do this is if you wanted slingers, if your preference was towards slingers. So you saw this as an opportunity rather than a burden, right? So I feel like that's what that's indicative of. Meanwhile, we see IronSteel, he opened with the berries, and he's just pushing all his gazelle, even though he did also have a gazelle patch next to the berries. I feel like for IronSteel here, this is almost a little bit more clear, a little less clear, right? It doesn't kind of pinpoint. Not saying that this determines anything, but this shows a preference, right? I mean, this was a clear choice by Matthew to pit Gazelle cleanly next to a stone mine. And I think that could become very powerful later, right? Having easy walk with stone could mean just one vill on stone will handle a lot of your early slinger production. We'll have to see if he goes for it. Is IronSteel luring a lion to his TC right now with the Sumerian villager? You bet he is. You bet he is. Oh my gosh, what a legend. The Sumerian villagers, a little bit extra HP means that you have some more options for food with that concept. I mean, something we really do need to talk about is these hills. I want to circle back to this. We have 3 massive hills in the middle here. I think the center one is going to be a big deal. I mean, there's stone on it, so it's not that important. There's a couple gazelle, not that important, because both players have primary stones away from this major middle hill. But there's a valley of death in between IronSteel's hill and the center hill, and there's a valley of death in between Matt's hill and the center hill. Like this, I mean, this could really mean something. Oh, hold on. 2 villagers coming forward for Matt here.
Yeah, I knew. I told you he's gonna go fast. He's gonna try for fast assault, and I think he's got a better food position.
Oh, look at the bills from IronSteel also coming out.
There they go.
Here's the rotation. They're gonna skip each other. They're gonna miss each other. So we're not gonna get that early conflict over the first barracks placement. I mean, Matt might just be. what's he doing here? He's gonna have to keep going, I think, right? That hill is so tempting.
About the same time.
Yeah, these hills are so tempting to camp on. Matt might just have to. Did he scout where IronSteel was with like an artifact or something? Did we miss that? I haven't seen any red come across the map.
I don't think so.
If he knows it's good for him, he dropped this barracks right here. I think he's going to. Yep, there it is. That's a really good barracks spot for him. And look at IronSteel. He's coming right up. He's gonna skip past this lion, and this could be good placement for him too.
Is he gonna? Well, he might miss.
Oh, look at the placements, the intuition on both these players. Now, I will say, Matt's positioning is a lot better. It looks like, I mean, this for both players, this is an axe rush. I mean, it's clear as day. We'll see. I mean, if it's an axe rush, I don't know, because Matt's got a guy on stone already. That's a pretty bold choice, I'd say. With the stone already, it's like, I want to make slingers early. But IronSteel's already up. He's got the upgrade coming in. He's doing clubmans. This is going to be the axe upgrade out of one of those barracks already. But the clubman's going to the right. I think IronSteel has an advantage in scouting. He's got a house all the way across the map. He's got an artifact that's gone around the map. He's spotting the lions. He saw the stone mine, I believe. I think he's going to think he's a little further south, but this villager's about to spot the wood line. Or the house. What's Matt going to do? He's got that guy on stone, which tells me he wants slingers. But oh man, I don't know. IronSteel could get rid of...
Axer is already in with the armor upgrade headed.
But he hasn't found the wood. He hasn't found the wood line. He should go to that wood line soon. He's going to give Matt that warning attack, as the villager would already indicate. And yeah, Matt's going slingers out of that hill. Interesting play. Interesting play. I'm not sure about this.
They're headed straight for
that elephant.
Basically, yeah, and it's the only food source currently.
It's funny. Oh, he's about to finish the storage pit. Wait, is he gonna avoid detection? No way. No way. So that first, but these are Sumerian villas, so he can deal with that. Meanwhile, the woodline under duress, the stone mine under duress. This axe rush is so much more brutal than a couple unupgraded slingers at this point. The upgrade is in, but it's still just 2 slingers. How much can he micro this? It's 2 slingers, 2 vills, another 2 slingers coming to reinforce. But remember, his entire economy is being wasted right now. He's got to find a solution to this. He's going to need a few more slingers to deal with this. IronSteel's going to fight with some vills, so it's already working in Matt's favor. He's getting that 6th slinger set up, or the 6th slinger up now. So, I mean, at 8 slingers, this hill becomes a fortress. I would say. At 8 slingers, at this low pop count, there's nearly nothing IronSteel can do against 8 slingers if they're perched perfectly on top of that hill. That being said, his slingers are on the low ground. But notice, his axes are going to start getting shredded. And IronSteel, I mean... his food's been spotted by Matt here. This is a very interesting matchup. As IronSteel keeps streaming axers to defense. Well, because IronSteel's pulling his axers back to defend.
Yeah, it looks like that Steel did not see the wood pit. It's right there, and he's just walking on every side of it.
No. He hunted vills past it. He hunted vills past it earlier, for sure. I saw that happen. But this is huge for Steel. He's getting a ton of idle time out of the entire economy of Matt. Other than those couple wood vills, I mean, there's nothing he can do with the wood at this point. His builders are all idle. Oh, this is going to be a vill war. Steel's bringing forward his villagers to help out, I think. He's going to come and flank these guys, I think. Yeah. He has to go for it. It's too many vills from Matt in this engagement. He's going to get a couple units here. This is a messy, messy game. As I believe, if I'm correct, the food has run dry for both players. They're running on nothing. 12 kills for IronSteel, 7 kills for Matt. Vill high was for IronSteel, but I don't know if that holds true anymore. As they do a loop-de-loop, so Matt's going to escape with a lot of these vills to the south of the map, but that storage pit could have just spotted them. As IronSteel's going to go towards this barrack, so these players doing the old switcheroo. Swapping bases here.
Very hurt act, and he knows he's pulling it back. Yeah, I think those farms are going to help. The question is whether Steel starts raiding them or not.
Yeah, those farms are good. I mean, it's still only 3 farms. I mean, at this point, that's not very fast, farming such a slow resource. And one of those farms, hastily placed, we'll have a delay on the walk time, so it's not like it's perfect, and Steel's getting over to that food. Remember, Steel did catch that elephant off by that storage pit, and he was able to get all of it before being forced off due to the Vil War. And now look at that. All those Vils getting caught out. Where are the Slingers? Do you know where Matt's Slingers went? Did they all die?
Where did they go? I think they all died.
Did we miss? It must have just been happening. And there's the GG. I thought he had a group of Slingers. I think there was just combat. It was just constant conflict. I think IronSteel was able to get the splits. He forced Matt off the hill first thing. Matt pulled off the hill, and then it all just kind of fell apart. We saw the Axers streaming in from the right of this hill, and that hill ended up not being the fortress that I think Matt was anticipating. So I think if we can learn anything from this, if anybody can learn anything from this, it's that if you go for Slingers, your best bet is to build them defensively, because you need them in a tight unit for the starting periods of the game, especially against the likes of Axers and Scouts. If those are the types of units your opponent is fielding, you're going to need to build defensively, because if you're going for those Slingers, they're just going to get too strung out, and primarily, you can't defend, right? Slingers aren't a very aggressive unit early. We saw that with the first units that came out. What happened? Matt sent 4 Slingers south, and he caught that elephant, right? That IronSteel built on the center wood. And IronSteel sent 4 Axers in to Matt's base. What was the difference? Matt had to retreat his Slingers from the Vils of IronSteel. Meanwhile, IronSteel forced a full retreat from Matt's economy, right? Matt ran his entire eco to those barracks because he needed the defense of the Slingers. Whereas, in low numbers, especially against Sumerian Vils, Slingers aren't just going to cut it. In low numbers, that is. Slingers are such a gambit. They're such a good call, but also against a player like IronSteel, maybe you need to do something like an opening such as, I don't know, like a what's it called? I'm blanking on the word. You need to do like an axe open. You need to open with Axers or some other unit.
Yeah, I think that's the thing here, was that both of them were so fast, they just didn't have time. Because a Slinger by itself, 2 Slingers by itself, does nothing.
Yeah,
especially against Sumerian Bills. They can take, but an axe or a fully upgraded axe, I mean, that's something that chases everything off their production. All right, are we ready here? Check everything.
Close the slots and set Conquest. Just close it so that we don't have to deal with that in the future. But yeah, IronSteel coming out with a strong game 1. And I think that I honestly think that if Matt had done Axers out of that position, we would have had a very scrappy low pop game. But I mean, IronSteel really, I mean, he was a little threatened, right? But like his wood line was never even touched. Yeah, you should set it to Conquest. Wait, no, it's, yeah, you need to set to Conquest. There we go. It's locked. You're set. Just go. Just 14. That's the definitive edition. Yes, we are playing on the definitive edition of Age of Empires 1. And we are in our
close
tournament.
Again.
It closed?
No, they're close.
Oh, I thought you said it closed. You sounded very disappointed.
Oh no, I was sort of breathtaking by the fact how close they're going to be, because it's going to be another fast game again.
Not necessarily.
I mean, it might last. Let me rephrase. It's going to be an early combat game again.
So there are a couple of reasons for that I'm going to disagree with. First off, one of the things you can note very early is this is not an artifact map. So basically, there are only ruins on the map. There are no artifacts. So that extra exploration doesn't come in, especially on a map like Oasis, where you can send an artifact to the center and then go around. It gives you a really good idea as to where your opponent's going to be. Because, like here, if you just have a little line of sight and you see off onto this right side how close it is to the wall, the likelihood your opponent is there is very slim. However, you come around, you crest this corner, and you're going to come south with the artifact as you keep exploring very early on. Because if you find that artifact early, it gives so much information. I think other than like food sources being close, I think artifacts are currently maybe the most BS form of RNG in the game. Because as soon as you get someone that can micro, if they get like 3 artifacts, they get the entire map under their sight, right? Because they start going out and they proliferate, right? I don't think artifacts should capture other artifacts, but I don't think we can talk about that right now. That seems to be a topic for another day. We can focus on the game.
Well, those seem to have ample food.
Yeah.
Interestingly, again, Matt has the food stone pit. So is that going to tempt him to go straight to slingers, or is he going to try, a more cautious approach with some axers and then transition to slinger?
I think if he builds his barracks on that hill south of that storage pit, like kind of on like the medium tier, and he queues his slingers onto that little crest at the top with the gold mine, like that little you see that 2-tile spot right here? That's going to be huge for him. If he can build a barracks wall in front of that and get slingers there, it's going to be, again, we talk about this a lot, but it'll be the slinger fortress on the hill, especially with the gold mine cutting off the flank pretty nicely. I mean, you could put 2 barracks in a market, and that's going to be untouchable for axers once you get like 6 things out. So if he does go for that, it's going to be good. He also got this really nice elephant, pretty lucky, right next to that storage pit. Meanwhile, IronSteel's going to be pushing his 2 gazelle patches. But I mean, when we looked at it last game, IronSteel did the push last game as well with 2 patches again. So this is looking very similar to what he did last game, and we saw the time difference. IronSteel was several seconds ahead. I mean, at least 30 seconds, right? That we saw, like, he had axers and Matt had just the first wave of slingers, and there were already upgraded axemen in his base. So, I mean, clearly IronSteel has an idea for how to be fast here.
And that's the way he likes to play. I mean, just in your face, not necessarily rushing. I mean, if you play in a team game, his preference is to bronze. But if he's playing 1v1, he's just all in your face. And I think that's Matt knows how Steel plays. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be the name of the game here, is to try to get there fast and hit the other guy. But as you said, no arts, so they don't know where their opponents are.
It's true, and you see that now, like on Oasis especially. I think it's maybe, other than like medium Conti, I think that Oasis is the map where artifacts are the most important scouting tool, because this is a map where you really, those forward vills cost you, right? Especially if your opponent isn't going to send one out to scout. Sending out that vill to scout is an expensive endeavor, right? It takes time, and especially if you do forward barracks with 2 villagers early. I mean, we're already talking about like 18, 19 villager tools, right? So these are already weak economies. Sending too early, it's expensive. It adds up. It's a very powerful strategy, what we saw IronSteel do last game, but I don't think he's going to go for it again. I'll be very honest. And I think that's primarily because there's no artifacts. He doesn't know where to go. It's an oasis. It's a ring. There's a 50-50 shot you get it wrong. Is he going to risk going to the right? He has no idea the layout of the map yet. And we see Matt sending that vill out, I mean, and it's not going to get any info. He might find some food or something that he could use, so it's not completely useless for the future, but it's certainly not going to help in that very, very early tool war, which we've seen become like a very influential part. If you're even in that early tool war, there's a really good likelihood the game goes late. Yeah, IronSteel's doing slingers, and it's really down to that scouting.
Well, the other thing, that you pointed out in one of your videos, or actually one of your streams, was
house trick. Sorry, what?
The use of the statistics. Nobody has army yet, and if you check the statistics, you can see that nobody has army yet, so you feel safe. So if there's no army at all, you're kind of like, you know what, I'm going to keep going with the eco and get myself set up. But as soon as you see that largest army, you have to wonder, okay, does he know where I'm at? What's he going to hit me with? And then you move on to start checking techs and that sort of thing.
So Matt split on the 50-50, and he sent one vill one way and one vill the other. Now, this is going to actually lead to a really rough situation for him, Because look at, he's going to hit Tool in a couple seconds, and he's only going to have the one barracks, and it's coming up really late. Because these vills weren't together, these barracks go up so much slower. And look at IronSteel, he's already got the market up. He's Tool. The first wave of slingers out. Mm-hmm.
At 9 o'clock, Steel's forward's going to hit a 2 line.
But he's going to see that it was damaged. If he's paying attention, he knows that line was hurt. He knows that Matt went by it, and Matt's actually doing a market off on the corner. A sidebar market, and he's doing slingers aggressively. Oh boy. So this time, it's not as bad to do slingers here, but I feel like it's luck that it's a little bit better. But I mean, he's closing the gap on two things. I mean, this is... Okay, think back to Ashes, to Assyria and Ashes. Think back to that tournament. When we saw archery ranges being built near each other, what was the rule of thumb? Game's over by 30 minutes, right? Like the first wave of units on top of the... Like, this is just back to D3KT, to that Assyrian Chariot War. The first player to get on top of these ranges... And now it's barracks because we've transitioned into slingers, but Matt's in trouble now. He doesn't have that upgrade yet. IronSteel has the first wave out. He was faster to Tool. It's up to Matt. The onus is on Matt to make a decisive play here. He's got to out micro, and it's just not looking like it's happening. IronSteel's brought the forward vills. He's coming to bop it, and bop it he shall. This village is going to go low, but that Sumerian vill, again, it's not going to go down to this little pressure. A third barracks going up on the front, but that's going to be denied by IronSteel easily. No way that goes up. That market off to the side, it's doing okay. IronSteel's Vill lived at 9 o'clock against the Double Lion. He was able to take him on one at a time. And we can see the army from IronSteel. He's just going to focus on denying this barracks for now. As long as his eco is safe, he's just going to deny that barracks. We're seeing the first farm go up for him. And we don't see any farms yet for Matt. He's pseudo-walled in a lot of his...
A lion at 8 o'clock just killed two.
Oh, two slingers? Oh boy, that line. Yeah, lines against lone slingers. And that Vill's gonna get caught out by another line! Gaius! Oh, almost stole the kill. But, no, IronSteel got that. So that's a Vill going down for him. Whoa, misclick. 2 clubmen coming out for IronSteel. That's gotta be a mistake. No upgrades on those? That's an error. He's going to come forward here, so Matt's really trying to keep the pressure on IronSteel, but IronSteel, you can see the numbers just going up for him. The Lions certainly hurt Matt here. He would be on even numbers. He would be on even terms. However he's done it, he would be on even terms right now if he had 2 more slings. That's insane. That's incredible that the Lion made that much of a difference there. Those clubbers. Matt's coming in for the flank on that army. He's getting some free hits on the slingers. And one will go down. Matt, with the micro there, really pulling IronSteel through the ringer. Matt's going to come forward. This is either for the Bone War or it's for those Gazelles. So Matt's going to try to keep these Gazelles safe, but IronSteel's going to outnumber him in this front. There's no way these Gazelles stay. Right? Oh, no. He's fine. Matt's fine. Because IronSteel's going to have to focus down these barracks. But this is going to cost Matt a lot. I love this Idleville to the south side of the map for Matt, where he built that market.
Yeah.
It's not a flame. I seriously do. That's an opportunity later. I mean, should this game go late, it's a half HP Ville. He's hidden. It hasn't been spotted. I mean, we could see a stable. We could see like some crazy stuff come out of that. I would love to see a stable there.
I think Matt's biggest issue right now is he's only got 2 guys on wood. He's got to be wood deprived, and Steel is hitting his barracks, his only barracks.
Yeah, so that's going to be a huge issue.
If you can't build a barracks, you can't build units.
Yeah, I mean, Matt's really trying a lot to delay this game because he needs to buy time. Because he's down on eco, he needs to distract IronSteel enough here. Very low kill game, but you can see the difference in eco is really starting to lead to a big issue for Matt. He's down in army, but he's not down in hope here. He's going to catch that stone miner. That stone miner is certainly dead if Matt focuses. He's going to walk right by.
The stoner goes free.
The stoner goes free.
But the farmer doesn't. The farmer takes this place.
Oh man, I
That
mean,
army's
this is
gonna
pretty
get
bad.
caught
This is
out.
pretty bad for IronSteel. This is exactly what Matt needs to do. He needs to be finding these kills. He could have taken that opportunity to kill some bills, but I think he's going to prioritize keeping his army alive. If he takes a bad trade here, though, I mean, we're seeing the difference in eco starting to add up in that military count. For IronSteel, he's starting to get a large military. There's the GG. Yeah, no more barracks is a really big issue for Matt here. He's going to call GG on that. I mean, it was close. It was certainly very close. Again, I have to say it. Forward barracks with slingers. I'm gonna say I don't think that's the appropriate strategy for this map. I think if you build forward, it has to be something that can apply more pressure than slingers. Because we saw it there, he was just a couple seconds later to tool, and it made all the difference. I mean, IronSteel just had the units, and then what happens? It snowballs so quickly, right? Like if he did what I mentioned earlier, if he had built his barracks way back at that gold mine, like at his base, and then it's even, right? He has a hill to rely on. You see what IronSteel did? He just built his barracks on a hill. There's no way that slingers are going to take that hill away from him anytime soon. It would take a large effort from that to get those barracks. But when you build your barracks forward like that, it's like the second you lose any sort of control over the army situation, you lose the barracks first. That's the first thing that went down. And so just force them down, and what happens? It's a quick 2-0 here. I mean, it's a best of 5. But what do you think, Rom? Is there hope for Matt in this situation?
Oh, there's always hope. I mean, if you play it right, if you get that early hit in, and catch somebody by surprise, I mean, you can really put a hurt on somebody. So yeah, absolutely, there's hope.
So what do we see?
Still could not get complacent at this point.
What do we see? What are we gonna what are we gonna see here, Rom? Does Matt bring something else out, or does he keep doing this forward slinger barracks
I'm wondering. My prediction: he's going to try this guy. He's got to try something different. So maybe it's time to do the Rohan and just fire them all up. See what happens.
Is Matt coming? Does he know it's a best of 5? He should know.
Yeah, he's up this when he saw the club come out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously a misclick.
Yeah, IronSteel here saying that those clubmen were a misclick, as we thought, like a mispump. It happens. Does Matt realize this is a best of 5? Did he leave thinking it was over? I hope not. I hope not for his sake, because we need him in another game here. No, I know he knows. I know he knows. I spoke with him. Yeah, he knows. He knows. Okay. Just a matter of when he gets in here. I wonder if something happened. Maybe he's restarting or something. We'll give him a couple minutes, guys. I apologize for the delay. Oh, here he is. Okay. But we're ready to go soon. Okay. Our players are ready. I mean, I'm excited. You want to close that last slot, Rom, just so we don't have any issues?
Right.
Everything looks good to me. Looks good to you. All right.
Yep. Check the extra. All those good.
All looks good to me, bro. Let's go. Let's check this out. I'm excited. I mean, IronSteel's a tough competitor. Is this a 3-0?
One of these maps.
Yep. So we get the wooded center, so it's fully wooded.
It's already different. Mm-hmm. Most significantly different thing now is they are polar opposite positions, as far away as you can be,
with small choke points on the edges. What this
very long rectangular wood mass in the beginning makes these the absolute polar opposite position.
It's a fish. It's a whale. It's a whale. It's a whale. We have a whale mini map. Wait, guys. I wish the mini map view worked. Oh my gosh, can I? Oh man, this is so important. We're just in the early game. Here, take in their maps. I have to do this real quick. I have to. Hold on. It's okay. We'll be fine. Keep talking, Rob. Explain
Well, all
things.
right, I'm going to start. I'm going to look at Matthew. Matthew's got,
Mhm.
for the third time, Matthew's got the Gazelle Stone. So that kind of maybe, I guess he's not going to try, mix it up with the scouts. Instead, he's gonna stick with the game plan. Let's see what Steele's doing. He's got his berry star pushing the Gazelle. Uh, so not obvious what he's going to do yet. This game does have artifacts, though, so we could see some scouting around with that. Now, that in this particular game is going to play a huge role because it gives them an opportunity
Hold
to
on.
scout on the
It's a
far end.
whale.
Oh, we
It's
got the back
guys.
snap.
Just look. It's a whale. Okay. Are we appreciating that this oasis is a whale enough? Okay. Back to the content. I'm sorry. I had to. You have to understand why we did that. Okay. So back to it. And no, this is not a custom map. This is the random map Oasis. It can spawn. There are two different variants. One has a fully wooded center, and it's probably, I would say, 2 out of 10 times. The other 8 out of 10, you get the deep water in the center, the useless water. The basically, it's just impassable terrain. Think about it like that, because it's not really water. Like, you can't put a dock on it. But that being said, I agree with you. We do have those early artifacts, and we can already see IronSteel pushing out on the map with one. He's exploring. He's looking around, and it's a huge bonus. It feels really good if you can find your opponent with the one, because it can start to tell you a lot. Like, where they are can tell you a lot about what they might try to do, right? Because you always assume your opponent knows everything, right? You hide what you can, but especially in a game where the stats is so clearly visible at all points in the game, you just assume your opponent knows exactly what you're doing, right? So when you know what your opponent's doing, it's a big win, right? It's a big win because you're catching up rather than staying ahead. I don't know. That makes sense in my head, right? It makes sense in my head. I'm sure it does. But we do see IronSteel once again. It's a difference in strategy. I know you probably pointed this out while I was making the whale minimap show up for everybody, but we see the same strat from Matt. Did he push the Gazelle to the stone?
Yeah, he looks like he's sticking with the game plan. Looks like he's gonna, maybe he feels third time's a charm. I mean, it certainly has its advantages. The question now is, does he go exclusively that way? Is he gonna assume IronSteel's close to him again? Is he gonna? I don't know. There's several variables here.
What's really nice for him though is long term. Matt's his first real wood pit. It's on this center wood line already. He's already chopping the middle, and that always feels good long term. He's also going to get that berry patch up. It looks like he didn't scout south of his TC. Otherwise, we'd certainly see him pulling those 2 elephants in. Those are huge. That's going to be huge. He's also missing the 2 gazelle patches to the left. This is going to be pretty bad for him. And the 2 elephants to the right. Man, Matt had a really good map. However, he does have a lot of hills. So if he does build defensively, especially next to his TC, he's got the stone. He could build the farms there, his barracks there. That would be a really good spot for him. I think he's got a really nice map defensively if he plays it that way. I mean, as we've seen in Game 1 and Game 2, he's going for that very aggressive start. Right?
This is interesting because Steele's got him 20-17 on the build. So that would imply a fast hit from Matthew, but I don't see him setting up for a fast.
He's been down a vill or 2 for a while here. I think he's worried about food. I think he's there's the hat.
He's got 2.
Or is he just pushing these gazelle? He could just be pushing the gazelle.
Where's he going to push him to?
The wood line, maybe?
I think he's looking for Steele with those. I mean, they're a long way from anything that you could push him.
That has to be for the gazelle. I mean, you can't even click tool with your first gazelle patch in the berries, right? I mean, maybe he just did. I think he may have just done it. But as we see, did he get unlucky or what? Look at those 2 berries blocking his storage pit. I didn't see those. He built a storage pit adjacent to 2 berries. It's gonna look at that bill. That inefficiency is killing me.
At the start. I think they were hidden behind trees.
They were hidden behind trees. I mean, not completely invisible. In theory, you can see them. Oh, look at that pit from IronSteel, too. So, both players getting that eco going up a little bit earlier. I mean, we see IronSteel, he's been walking stone for a while. He's already got 40 stone coming in. He's got a second fill on that long-distance stone. He's sending more vills over to that food. He's going to stick with the game plan that he's been doing, which is defensive slings. He has a hill. He's just going to build slingers. For those of you who don't know, when you're on top of a hill, your ranged units do bonus damage of 50% more. And melee units attacking directly uphill, so it's not just being on a hill, but like directly on this hill thing, they do 2/3 their normal attack. So we've been seeing Matt go for slingers as well to kind of get away from that, but I mean, seeing the slingers here, it's a pretty comforting sight, right? That's what, like, if I were in Steel's shoes, I would feel very comfortable right now. I don't see him as being uncomfortable. For Matt, I mean, he's building stone walls already. I mean, that's showing respect to your opponent, and that's something that I just don't see IronSteel feeling the need to do.
Well, and Steel's not going axes at all, so those walls certainly wouldn't do anything, because even if a slinger didn't go through the walls, he'd just throw rocks over the wall.
Oh, stable. Stable. Matt's doing stables. He's doing scouts, but it's not a forward stable. Oh, man. We already see the upgraded slingers from Steel. I'm sure the upgrade's coming in. He's had the market for 30 seconds.
All right, here we go.
Done.
Here we go with the Lone Rangers.
Oh, and he started with attack. He started with the defense upgrade, so he's thinking he'll hit vills. But I mean, at this stage, it's already 11 minutes. As you've told me before, scout rushes do best when you get in before 10 minutes.
Yeah, you really got to be able to get in there fast. Oh, and now so Steel knows that. Oh, and he turned him around.
He's going to try to fight, but he doesn't have the attack upgrade yet. Oh, this is going to go very, very poorly for him. IronSteel can micro this to the end of the earth.
All right, so Steel's pulling some of this sling back. He's going to have a waiting party when those guys show up.
Oh, the delete TC tactic. I mean, we've seen it before. It can work. It can work. Usually you do that once the pressure's on. This doesn't help against slingers, though. This helps against axers. This is a team game strat I've seen a lot. On Oasis games, experts will often delete their TC and rebuild on the center wood because you can wall in with the mid-wood line. I'd see, if I were in Matt's shoes, you might need to be a little worried about this, because usually you'd rebuild it like here or something so you can wall in a larger area. This is a very awkward wall, and against slingers it won't really help. But with the attack upgrade hopefully coming in soon for Matt, he should be able to handle this. What are your thoughts on that? He's got 5 scouts on the map, but slingers at the offense and the defense for IronSteel. It's looking pretty good for him.
He still doesn't have the attack upgrade on these scouts. So the scouts have started in on Steel's farms, but without the attack upgrade, they are just going to be victims for those waiting slingers.
Yeah, he's going to try to micro his way out of this, and that's going to be problematic. Yeah, without, look at that, only 3 damage a hit.
You can't even pick off Sumer Vills with that. They'll be able to run to you.
Not at all. I mean, against slingers, Sumer Vills are only 20 HP behind this. I mean, think about that. They have the same attack as an upgraded scout, right, and just 20 less health. So it's really close to having a couple vills running around the map trying to harass. Once you get that attack upgrade, things start to change for the scouts, though. They become a much more efficient unit, what is that, 66% more damage. He's got a lot of these scouts, and with those elephants, we could be looking at him going for some attack upgrade here. He's just doing the one stable push here, so it's giving IronSteel a lot of time to mass some slingers. However, these slingers off on this hill in the north of Matt's base are kind of lonely here, and I love what Matt did here. He brought the 2 scouts back, so these slingers out on the front, like, IronSteel's been very preoccupied with keeping the slingers back at home, and he's going to notice this now. This is a huge army for Matthew. If this is a timing attack, like I think it might be, with the attack upgrade coming in right at this moment, it would help him so much in this fight. Please be getting it.
They're going to get slaughtered. They're going to get slaughtered without the attack upgrade.
Oh, look how slow it is, and 2 of these are attacking uphill. Oh, no. Matt, almost. This could have been so good with that attack upgrade and not fighting up the hill. I think you need to wait for him to get down the hill and make sure he never has that hill bonus, because several of those volleys were on scouts down the hill, and I think that might just be it. That was too much of a blow. It's going to take too much food to rebuild the scout numbers. Man, slingers are just so strong now. It's the meta for a reason. And everyone we've seen winning these games, they're building slingers at home. The craziest games we've been seeing are the ones where both players go for that. And there's the attack upgrade now for Matt. So you're going to start seeing that damage really come in from those scouts. I mean, now it's just 5 pokes. I mean, it increases the efficiency of this attack so much. Like, look at how quickly that dies in comparison to before. But, I mean, this is a problem. This number of slingers.
And the swing factor here is Steel now has 9 farm.
There's the GG, yeah. I mean, it's... interesting play from Matt. I mean, I like that at the end of that he tried to do something different. I can totally respect that. In the first 2 games, I get it. I get what happened there. Like, he went for the aggressive plays. I would have liked to see axers from him both those times, though. I think that would have helped him out a lot. Doing forward slingers, to me, just doesn't quite cut it. It just, for me, whenever I've tried to do slingers on the front, they always just die, right? You don't have the time to mass them. Slingers are best when you have 20 of them moving across the map, right? They're an immovable wall, right? No melee units can start to approach that number. It's the death ball. It's the Protoss death ball all over again, really. You know, Sky Toss, just in existence. It's just so early in the game that you can get that it's very... And I think Matt knows that. I think he was just trying to try something different here, but it's not going to work out for him. It just really isn't. GG's from both, though. Great stuff from them.